Alright, here is the sourdough starter. It has a lot of bubbles in it, and so now I'm getting ready to make some buns, or at least the dough for it. Now the starter is ready to be fed, but before we feed it we want to take some from it, and then later on we'll feed the starter that we're going to save. So now I'll quickly go through everything that I'm going to put into my mixer, and the only thing that's metal here is that hook for the dough mixer, and I have our jar of water and the flour we'll be using. So I'm going to measure out from our jar of water, or my jar of water, about a cup and a quarter of water. Set that aside. Cup and a quarter of water. I'm going to stir the sourdough starter, and it has lots of bubbles in it. It does look a little runnier than what I would prefer, but I know from experience that it will still be just fine. So I want about a cup of sourdough starter. And then I'll add that to the water. If you add too much sourdough starter, then it ends up being a very soft dough, and so you don't want to add too much. So about a cup of starter, a little more is fine, but not too much more. So I'll add the starter to the water, and then I will add 2 teaspoons of salt, which I have right here. And this recipe calls for about 4 cups of flour. So I'm going to add 4 cups of flour all at once, because then it will mix together nicely and I won't have it too soft and too mucky later on when I want to put it into the bowl. Alright, so it's about 4 and a bit cups. So the dough was a little drier than I wanted, so I added a little drizzle of water at a time, and now it's nice and moist. So I'm going to, but not too sticky as you can tell. So now I'm going to take and sprinkle some flour into a large bowl. And set the dough in there. And now, as far as the dough goes, we are done till tomorrow morning, because now that will just rise. And with the dough I will put some saran wrap, plastic wrap over top. And now it's ready to go on top of the fridge. And tomorrow morning I'll take it down and knead it by hand, shape it into buns, put it into a pan, and let it sit for a bit. So now, with our sourdough starter, what's left, because we don't want to use it all up, but we have to start fresh to get our sourdough starter going. So I'm going to add just a little bit of water because it is very runny. And now I will also add, it's about a half a cup of flour. When I'm done mixing this all up, I will have enough here to last for a while. So I don't want to be making buns again in the short term, otherwise we'll have too many. So when I'm done here mixing this all up, I will cover it with saran wrap and put it in the fridge, because the fridge will keep it cold enough that it won't eat too fast. So it'll eat very slowly, all the sugars in the flour. And then when I'm ready to make buns or bread again, then I will I'll take it out about a couple of days before that I want to use it. The first day I take it out, I'll just put it on the fridge. After that, the following day I will feed it. Depending on how much I need, I'll probably just add a quarter cup of flour, some water to make a nice paste, nice dough. Cover it up the following day, do the same thing, and as it warms up it will liven up again and look like what we started with this time. So the time right now that I'm making this is about 5 o'clock at night, and that way it'll sit overnight, which is about, well, it'll be 12, 15 hours. It'll be about 15 hours, 16 hours by the time I get to the bread dough for making the buns.